Everybody, good afternoon and welcome to That's Football for another massive game in the Premier League. It's Newcastle against Tottenham kicking off a big afternoon of live football action. Of course, I'll be over on the United stand at 4:30 for Brighton against Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-final. What a game that's going to be. Brighton in fantastic form and Manchester United, we need to get a result. But we are not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about the the Newcastle United game against Tottenham in the race for top four. Manchester United not playing in this one, but obviously we are in a top four race with them. And when you look at the table as it stands at the moment, Manchester United in third place with 59 points, Newcastle in fourth place with 56 points, and Tottenham in fifth place with 53 points. So, look, I think if Newcastle were to win today, it would be a hammer blow for Spurs because Newcastle would go 6 points clear of them with a game in hand. Whereas if Spurs were to win, it puts them right in amongst it, albeit they would... Newcastle would have a game in hand, Man United would have 2 games in hand on Spurs again, but Spurs play Manchester United on Thursday. So, realistically, if Spurs were to beat Newcastle today and then Man United on Thursday, they'd really have a strong chance. And I think it's starting to look like, I know Liverpool have got aspirations of joining the top four party. Aston Villa have been on a very good run and Brighton would fancy their chances themselves. But I do think it's starting to look like 2 from 3 with Spurs, Manchester United and Newcastle. But today could be a real changer for that. Let's have a look at the team lineups and see how it goes. So I should be able to put this on the screen for you actually now. Let me have a quick look for you. Let's have a look. We've still got Liverpool versus Forest on here for some reason. Let me just see if we can sort that out as we're live. So there's the team news for you on the screen. Tottenham up there first. We'll change Liverpool and Forest for you, but let me go through the team news. So Pope in goal for Newcastle, Trippier, Shaw, Botman and Byrne, a very reliable and consistent back five for Newcastle. And into the midfield is Longstaff, Gomes and Willock. And then their front three is Murphy, Isaac and Joel Linton. Obviously St Maximin's been very injury prone this season, but they do have Almiron on the bench. Gordon's on the bench as well. So a strong team for Newcastle. For Spurs, it's Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Sarr, Porro, Perisic, Skip, Højbjerg, and then you've got Kulusevski, Kane and Son. Their bench, Richarlison's there, Danjuma's there, Davies, Longley. Yeah, they're quite evenly matched teams. I do feel that potentially we could be looking at a draw here. Royal Mail has just gifted 5 memberships. You're an absolute legend, mate. Thank you very much for that. Well put in there. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I would like a draw, and I feel that a draw in some ways is quite logical to go with. But let me just get the Newcastle team for you. There it is. Yeah, I think a draw is quite logical to go with, but Newcastle with home advantage and Spurs being Spurs, I certainly could probably see a Spurs win as well. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. I certainly think it's very, very big with regards to the race for top four. I'm actually going to go with the 2-0 Newcastle win. I think the Spurs are. It's Spurs. They've got their own saying. It's very Spursy. They are so hard to predict. They have got the players to win the game. I would like a draw from a Man United point of view, and I'm sure Villa and Liverpool and Brighton would love a draw as well. But I'm going to go with the Newcastle win. I think that's what we will end up with today. Let's wait and see. But I'm really excited about the day ahead. I hope you all are as well. Get your thoughts in. Which way this is going to go? Man United Brighton's huge. I'll be doing that on the United stand a little bit later. But two big games, and there's a big game going on as well at the other end with Bournemouth and West Ham, which we'll keep an eye out for as well. Amizo says a draw. Will we hear you get annoyed at that alarm going off? Says Mick. Well, I can make it go off if you want to, or I can just mute it. There's this 3 p.m. thing that is going to be going on. We'll change the score in a minute. That's because we did Liverpool against Forest yesterday. So everything's right on this side. Now it's right on that side. Magical how it works, isn't it? You're the best, Mark, says Christian. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner to do it. We are live. Obviously, I'm live already, but that's football. You're all welcome on here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Get your thoughts in below. I'm not sure I'm going to get this going for you. Here we go. Should get it working now. See, it was good of me to go live a little bit earlier because I really shouldn't have gone live till now. But I thought, you know what, I can cope. I can cope without the graphics. There's the league table for you there as well, next to me, which is great to see. We'll keep that up for you for a moment as well. That's how the top four race is looking. Very intriguing top four race, isn't it? You know, as I said, Man United looking good at the moment, but trust me, our defence is vulnerable, and we've got some difficult games against Brighton, Chelsea, Tottenham, Aston Villa. So there are games where United can drop points. But I'd rather have the points on the board than be in the chasing pack. You know, Liverpool and Brighton will fancy their chances of getting involved, but I'd rather be where Man United are, even with the injuries. And that's why it's a massive game between Newcastle and Tottenham. They are sort of the real contenders for top four at the moment, but that can change very, very quickly. If Tottenham were to lose to Newcastle and lose to Man United on Thursday, I think Tottenham are out of the race. So it's a huge game for Tottenham and a huge game for Newcastle, of course, who I think, look, I'm not going to change my mind. I do think that from this point, I'd be very, very surprised if Man United and Newcastle didn't get top four. But look, anything can happen. Should bring the chart show back. Lots of love, Suspin. I'd love to bring the chart show back, mate. We might be able to bring it back now. It's just been so relentless. Manchester United playing every 3.5 days. Having said that, it's still going to happen for a couple of weeks. Even though we've been knocked out of the Europa League, we've still got Brighton today, Tottenham on Thursday, Villa next Sunday, and then Brighton in the league on the Thursday, and then a game on the Sunday. And then I think it calms down a little bit. But it has been pretty relentless, of course. This game is about to start. Thanks, everyone, for your super chats. Thanks, everyone, getting involved. Big shout out to Royal Mail X for gifting 5 memberships as well. What a legend you are. Newcastle players in a huddle. I'm going with a Newcastle win of 2-0. Let me know what you're going for in the chat. We are closing in on 942,000 subscribers, by the way. So please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Remember, I've promised to do a live show in London for That's Football if we hit 1 million subscribers. So that would be fantastic. RL Mike's going for 12-0. I think it could happen, mate. 2-2, says Fennick. 3-0 to Newcastle, says Andy Hines. 1-0 to Spurs, says Lewis. So, yeah, you know, I think it's intriguing. I'd put Newcastle as favourites, but it has that potential to go either way. And I think Spurs, what a weird season Spurs are having. 2-1 to Spurs, says Ali. We're up and running here. I just find the Spurs season so incredible that they, you know, Conte left and they really didn't do anything to change that story. I mean, basically keeping Conte's assistant. It's just weird. You know, I know it sounds really stupid, but we had a Spurs fan call in last weekend and they said they should have gone for Harry Redknapp. And it sounds stupid, but you just don't know. Something like that could actually have given them a bit of a kickstart. But there is talk that Nagelsmann's interested in the Spurs job, which I find it's incredible that Nagelsmann would refuse the Chelsea job but take the Spurs job. And that, to me, if that is true, is an indicator of how how frustrating it must be to take the Chelsea job as a manager. There's no security there. Anyway, here's Newcastle on the break with Joel Linton. He'll get a shot off, and it's a good save by Lloris, and it's 1-0 to Newcastle straight away. Murphy does it. Murphy's law. He scores, and it's 1-0 to Newcastle within the side the first minute. Terrible defending by Spurs. Get the sleeping bags off the pitch. They're falling asleep here. Put the campfire out. Clear away the tent. Throw the sleeping bags away. They should be awake for the start of this game. They are 1-0 down in the first minute and a half. Horrific defending from Tottenham. They've been caught asleep again. I mean, really, who's tackling Joel Linton? That's the first thing. Who's awake to follow up the shot that Lloris saves? It's just terrible by Spurs. Joel Linton picks this up on the left wing. He cuts inside. He goes past two Spurs players. 3 Spurs players don't put a tackle in. Lloris palms the shot away, and then they're asleep on the back post as well. That is Static Park. Forget Jurassic Park and dinosaur defending. That's bag of cement defending. They're like the cones you put out in your back garden. Unbelievable defending. Really, really bad. Spurs defence asleep. Terrible. Really bad. Now it's going to be hard. Absolutely dreadful. And the crowd will react to this. Absolutely dreadful. You know, as a Spurs fan, you've got to look at that and go, where's the pride in the shirt? You know, where's the effort? How are you asleep like that? Really, really, really worrying if you're a Spurs fan. It's going to be very difficult for you to come back now. I mean, you've basically just gifted a 1-goal lead to Newcastle. Could Lloris have done better, says Brandon. Yes, I think he probably could have done. But his defence around him could have done a lot better than him. I wouldn't blame Lloris. I think the defence around him is terrible. Kenneth says, "I'm sick. It's sick inducing Spurs strip. Who designs this crap?" There we go. Doesn't like the kit. Does not like the kit. So 1-0 straight away here. Murphy scores a tap in after Lloris spills the shot. But to be honest, that Spurs defence is terrible. Really, really bad. A lot of people blaming Lloris. I'd be furious with the defence first. No one's moving. And Newcastle are up for this. Obviously got beat by Villa last week. They've probably been hungry for this all week. And they were in very good form before. Here's Isaac. Oh, again. What's this Spurs defence doing? No one wants to make a tackle. Hi, Mark. If Arsenal lose the league and United get top 4, United have had a better season because both have top 4, but United have a trophy. Agree or disagree, says Alex. I disagree. I think it's more of a status and standard to actually be in a title race than not be in one. Just because you win the Carabao Cup, for me, that doesn't make it a better season. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I personally think that Arsenal are the better team and they've had the better season. They'll be disappointed, but in context, from where they've come from to genuinely be in a title race, I think it's an incredible season for them. A trophy is a trophy, says Ty, but it's not. I've had this conversation before. It's not. The Carabao Cup doesn't mean anything. You're telling me you'd rather finish 5th and win the Carabao Cup than finish 4th. It's not. I explained this the other day. It's not the trophy. It's the top 4 that makes United's season better. It's a trophy and Champions League football that makes it better to some. It's not the trophy. People are over-egging the pudding on the trophy. The Carabao Cup is not why Man United have had a better season than Arsenal. It's the top 4 and the trophy. And for me, it's a loser mentality as well. Here's Joel Linton, round the keeper, into the back of the net. The crowd go up. It's 2-0. Did the flag go up? I don't know, but it's 2-0. Joel Linton's on fire. Your defence is terrified. He's got an assist. He's got a goal. He's barely broken wind. He's barely broken sweat. 2-0 to Newcastle. This game could be over. This could be over already. Unless there's an offside to change. That Spurs defence. More holes than a hedgehog's pillow. It's terrible. What's going on? They're about as loose as a clown's pocket. What are they doing here? How do you start like this, Spurs? Can we play the Thursday game now? Is he offside? Let's have a look. It's Trippier. No way, Pedro. Oh my God. Who's the number 23? Who is the number 23 for Spurs? Absolute shite. Well, it's not Romero, it's Sarr. Well, no, it's Porro. It's Porro, the right back. Oh my God. Pedro Porro. Yeah, plenty of P's in his name. Absolute shite. Dreadful player. Pedro the Prat. Pedro Porro. They may as well have Pedro the Pony from bloody Peppa Pig. What Seb watches at right back. Pedro Porro. Get Pedro Pony on. Absolute rubbish. The guy who predicted 13-0 earlier is probably the winner here, says Dance. Well, I said 2-0, but it's over a bit quick. Zane saying keep it up. This could be a cricket score. It really could. I mean, I tuned into this thinking it would be close. They're rubbish. Rubbish. Look, stranger things have happened, but Spurs' defence is absolutely shambolic here. And it's just too easy for Spurs. Too easy for Newcastle. They've got options all the time. Newcastle winning is better for us, keeps that gap between us and Liverpool and Spurs, pretty much kills off Liverpool for top 4, 9 behind with 7 to go, says 5 Cantonars. Spurs are properly Spursing this game, says Untamed Voice. You know the biggest injustice here, and I don't want to give Brighton any credit because they're playing Man United later, but the biggest injustice here is Brighton. They obviously had... they should have beat Spurs. And it's just making it... West Ham are winning 1-0 at Bournemouth, by the way. Shot from distance. Oh my God, it's 3. It's an absolute bullet. Who's this Murphy guy? He can't believe it himself. He's smiling like a kid that's got a PS5. He's absolutely smacked that. Foot like a traction engine, as they say. He's made it 3-0 in 8 minutes. What are we seeing here? Am I dreaming? Unbelievable from Newcastle. They've won the game in the first 8 minutes. He's absolutely smashed it. Unbelievable. I've got to see this from behind. I've got to see this from behind. I tell you what, who's looking at it from behind. From 3 goals behind. Tottenham 3-0 down here. Harry Kane, he's gone in his sock. He's got his phone out. He's ringing up Eric Ten Hag. But what? It's going to be a good hit, but look at this. Son loses it way too easily. No one wants the second ball. He hits it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we speak about Lloris. Is there a deflect? No. What's the keeper doing here? He's surely got to get this. I can't. It's hard to tell. It doesn't look... I mean, it's a good hit, but it's not in the top corner. I want to see it from behind. It doesn't... 3-0 in 10 minutes. 3-0 in 10 minutes. Spurs fans, let us know what you're doing. Spurs fans, talk to us. We want to know. Join in the chat. This is incredible. The game's basically over. We're just watching here now to see how bad they get beat. And you've got to, you know, as a Spurs fan, Nicholas Walker says, get Levy out of this club and make it about football again rather than balancing the books. Levy out, says Nicholas Walker. Spurs defence will be impenetrable when they play United. Every team's defence goes missing until they play the best beat United trophy, says Honest Tiger. What the hell? I just went and made my tea, says Nick P. It's... You know what it is? I've spoken to a few Spurs fans over the weeks doing the Talk Sport show, and they are completely... It was an eye-opener for me last Saturday when I did the Mark Goldbridge show on Talk Sport, because we had all these Spurs fans calling in, and you don't know if you don't support the club. But I'm telling you now, all the clubs that have got problems in the Premier League at the moment, whether it be Liverpool not having a good season, Chelsea, you know, the teams in the relegation battle, Spurs is a silent burner. But probably not so silent anymore. Spurs fans have absolutely had enough of the way their club is being run. They feel detached. They don't play good football. They feel that the ownership model is about Beyonce and NFL football and a go-kart track more than it is about actually building a rhythm and a product that their fans can be proud of. Look, Spurs have never been about winning trophies, but, you know, I look back to the days of Les Ferdinand, Jurgen Klinsmann, David Ginola, you know, even Darren Anderton, Gareth Bale, Gaza, Lineker, Hoddle, Waddle, Clive Allen. You know, they've always been a team that can play a bit of football. Well, they can't play football anymore. They are a dreadful, dreadful, dreadful sight to see. And Spurs fans have had enough. You know, as a business model, fantastic. Fantastic stadium. One of the best in Europe, I think. Certainly in the league. But they are being let down big, big time. They've got the mentality of a dead worm. You know, they've got the fight of roadkill. They are absolutely embarrassing. Look at those Spurs fans. They've travelled all the way to Newcastle. I'm telling you now, travelling to Newcastle, it's like going to bloody Mars. It takes bloody ages. It's a good night out, but it's a long way to travel on a Sunday, and to be 3-0 down after 10 minutes, that's what football's all about. That's football. Fans. Football's for the fans, and those fans are being shortchanged. They should be given the bloody money back. It's absolutely disgusting. You know what? When you think about it, that's a big trip to Newcastle, and they've been absolutely, and Harry Kane could have made it 3-1, probably should have made it 3-1, big chance there, but yeah, they're out of touch. They're out of touch with their fans, Spurs, and I personally think, as an outsider, I was stunned that Conte went in the international break, and they knew Conte was going the night after the Southampton game. They knew he was going, so they had that international break to sort it out. They took a week to sack him, and then they let his assistant coach be the coach. Like, they had top four was up for grabs, and they've just thrown it away. I understand. It pissed me off last year when United did it with Rangnick. Brought an interim in November and basically down tools on the season. But Spurs were in a top four race. There was no reason to down tools on it. Absolutely incredible. Things need to change at Spurs. Big time. 3-0 to Newcastle. People are tuning in. They can't believe it here. It is 3-0. It's absolutely incredible that they've gone 3-0 down. And it's look, you know what? We're talking about Spurs. Can we just talk about Newcastle for a moment? The rhythm, the tenacity. United were here a few weeks ago. They did the same thing to us. They absolutely got at us from minute one. Somehow we got to 0-0 at half time, and they kept going in the second half as well. That's why I'd worry about Spurs. This Newcastle team doesn't stop. They're too inexperienced to stop. They're not used to being a big club that goes, let's just conserve a bit of energy. That naivety will be the exciting thing about this journey for Newcastle, is they'll be loving this, and they'll be like, their crowd will be loving it, and they won't shut up. They'll keep going. It could be. You'd be surprised if they don't score at least 5. Chris says it's going to be 7. Mark, Spurs fans care more about Arsenal losing the title than their own club being in a mess. Even their owner is like that, says Alan Knight. It's 2-0 to West Ham against Bournemouth as well. That's a cracking result for West Ham. Bournemouth having a bit of a renaissance, but so are West Ham. They'd be up to 13th if they win today. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. Your eyes are not deceiving you. Newcastle were 3-0 up after 10 minutes. People are talking about the Premier League record. Well, look, I think we've got a long way to go for that. Oh, Ridder says we've got a crazy Sunday of football already, and United haven't even kicked off against Brighton yet. Yeah, I'm worried about that. Tottenham's defence couldn't save a word document at the moment. They're so crap, says Daniel. I like it. Mark, can you explain what does Jurassic Park defending mean? Dinosaurs. Slow. If I'm a United executive considering Kane in the summer, I would focus on how Kane reacts in this game to see if he has the fight and mentality. Says Steve. Absolutely, exactly, Stephen. This is a great point about Kane. Is he indoctrinated and infected by the frequency of these types of results? First, Spurs fans saying they'll beat United. It's a different game, Jack. Obviously, there'll be a reaction from Spurs when they've, on Thursday night because they've been battered. Here's a corner for Newcastle. They're quite good at corners. Trippier puts it in. Edge of the box. Oh, Son. Terrible clearance by Son, but they do manage to clear now. As much as I rate Harry Kane as a player, I don't want him to risk bringing in players to United who might have a bottle job mentality. We need winners, says Louis. And DJ says, remember me, captain, the Spurs fan desperate for Conference League. I want to be in the Conference League just for a trophy, but now I don't know. DJ, I would... Well, to be fair, West Ham might... I mean, I was talking to... when I was getting my haircut the other day, I was talking to a West Ham fan, and they'd completely forgotten they were playing the night before. I mean, I don't know how true that was, but West Ham could win the Conference League, but obviously their main focus is on winning not getting relegated. Never sack a manager without a plan in place. Luis Enrique wanted to join Chelsea straight away, so I'm sure if Spurs went for him, he would have said yes, says Nathan Allen. I think the way Spurs Football Club has been run over the last few years is just ridiculous. Is this the end of Kane at Spurs, or is it just a performance by Spurs thought, says Mohammed? I think Kane's had enough at Spurs. I think he's had enough at Spurs for a couple of years, really. He tried to go to Manchester City, didn't he? So I think he is and has had enough there. Yeah. I think Maguire's the problem that could solve the Spurs conundrum. You know what? I actually do think Maguire would do well at Spurs in a back five. I think that's about as high as Maguire could go. He's never going to get in the Arsenal team. He's never going to get in the Man City team. He's never going to get in the Newcastle team. But Spurs, out of the top six, I think Spurs is probably the one he could. Is a Spurs draw or loss better for us, Sam? I mean, mate, I wouldn't be talking about a draw here. I'd just be thinking about whether a Spurs loss is bad. Let me just show you that, actually. How do I do it? I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Okay. So this is how the league table looks as it stands. But wait, here's Isaac. It could be 4. It should be 4. It is 4. It's 4-0 to Newcastle inside 20 minutes. It's incredible stuff. Newcastle are blowing them away. They're blowing them away. They put them in a bloody cannon and they've shot them back to London. This is unbelievable from a defensive point of view for Spurs. But let's not ridicule Spurs for this goal. Let's appreciate the fact that this is the Premier League, the most competitive Premier League we've seen in many a year. This is 4th against 5th, and it is 4-0 to Newcastle inside 20 minutes. Absolutely incredible stuff. Absolutely fantastic. "20 minutes gone. I'm just watching this back. Bruno Guimaraes, outside of the foot pass. What a pass. What a pass. Who hits that pass? Is it Willock? Unbelievable. He's not a Pillock. If that's Joe Willock, that pass is an absolute delight. Outside of the boot. Oh, what a pass. What a pass that is. You can't argue with that. That's a. I mean, look, Isaac takes it well, but what a pass by Willock. He deserves. That's all about the pass. I'm gonna have to tweet it. Incredible. Incredible ball. 4-0 after 20 minutes. Put the foot on the gas. Put the foot on the gas. Just keep going. Keep going. Isaac again. It's 5. Oh my God. I can't believe it. We're witnessing history. It genuinely is 5. It's Isaac. Lloris may as well not be there. He's like the invisible man. Sign him up for Marvel. He may as well not be there. This is like when I was managing the Sidemen. Basically just shoot and it'll go in. It's just like a Sidemen charity game. Unbelievable. How's he got that in? Lloris, check his bank account. What is going on? I think there's at least 3 goals that a player of Lloris's quality should be saving. Get those heads up off the ground, Spurs. You're heading for a bloody Premier League record here. Whoever said 12-0 before the game is probably looking more likely than anyone else. I mean, they're just asleep. Trippier. It's the training ground exercise. No one's going with the runners. But that never should go in. That never should go in from Lloris. I mean, look, it's lovely play by Newcastle. The intricacy is fantastic. But that never should go in from that angle. Never. I'm saving that. I'm saving that. And I've got a bad back. It's crap goalkeeping. I mean, it's crap defending. But it doesn't even blast it. It's low. The angle's ridiculous. Isaac's even looking at it going, how's he let that in? He's shite. Sebastian says, I've just got here. What have I missed? You missed 5 goals, mate. It's incredible. Mark, this season, says SK, there have been so many bottle job games from so many teams. We need a tier list for this season. What the hell? That's from SK. A Petco says, hi Mark, tomorrow is the final in the under-19 Champions League. Hajduk split against AZ Alkmaar. Good luck to Hajduk. Okay, thanks for letting us know about that. Wow. They're going to bring on Davinson Sanchez. He's probably going, please don't bring me on. I got substituted after I got subbed as a sub last game. Let's see who's going to come off. I mean, to get subbed off after 22 minutes, I can't believe he's bringing Davinson Sanchez on. I can't speak, says Joshua Bowater. I can't speak. It's amazing. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you're tuning in. Bottom right-hand corner, we're on the road to 1 million. So are Newcastle. It could be 1,000,000. It's unbelievable. I'll tell you what, football's been incredible this season. It really has. He's taken Sarr off. It's really embarrassing for the lad, that is. I don't like... You know what? I don't like that. I always feel sorry for that player, and, you know, he's only 20 years of age. Subbing him off away from home. It's not nice. I do feel sorry for him. I do. Look, if it's my club, I'm saying never pick him again. But I think he's more of a midfielder by trade anyway. But yeah, it's not good. They've got to try and close the shop. Yeah, I think Newcastle need to turn it up from amateur level to professional on settings. It's a little bit too easy. Ronan's loving the Spurs thrashing. Spurs fans, I mean, you never want to get smashed up on a Sunday, do you? You know, you got the whole working week ahead of you. At least if it happens on a Saturday, you can put a film on the Saturday night, and you know, you get a bit of a lie in. But it's back to work with a bang tomorrow for Spurs fans, and the trouble is, there's still 20 minutes to go to half time, and I don't think Newcastle are going to stop. Why would you stop? They're not in Europe. So Spurs should sub their goalie, says Brian. I agree. I agree. I think it's all right taking off a 20-year-old, but you should be subbing your goalkeeper. There we go, though. Spurs on the break. I mean, they could answer back with Son. What the fuck's that? They've won a corner, though. The Premier League is the best on earth, says Liam. It's interesting what somebody said before. I think it's a really competitive Premier League, and we are blessed. But also, we've had a lot of, competition. It's been a very competitive league, like I say, but we've had quite a few smashings as well. Bournemouth, Man United and Leeds have been smashed by Liverpool. Newcastle have handed a few out themselves. Bruno Guimaraes could be injured here. This is not a good thing for Newcastle. I'm sure they'd rather it be 1-0 and keep Bruno Guimaraes fit. But look at the league table as it stands here. Newcastle are absolutely flying here, and their goal difference is infinitely better than Manchester United already, and it only gets better. But plus 27 for Newcastle. But more importantly, it's that 6-point gap that they have on Spurs with the game in hand. And also, let's not forget, they put themselves and Manchester United 8 points clear of Aston Villa. And again, there are games in hand on Aston Villa. Liverpool would be 9 points off Manchester United and Newcastle, and Man United have got a game in hand. So it's very difficult for anybody to close in on the top four. Even Brighton, it is looking like Manchester United and Newcastle as things stand at the moment, but that could change. We want 6 more. Give the penalty to Pope later, says Kay. Well, the record in the Premier League is 9. We want 6, says the chat. It's funny how the mentality shifts, isn't it, when you're watching a game like this? I think before I'd have loved a draw, but you now feel that you could be watching history. I'd like to see another 6. I'd like to see another 5. And logically, We're not even halfway through the game yet. So why not? And look, people say, surely Spurs won't concede another 5. But you know when you're 5-0 down and you're away from home, the mentality shift is incredible. United now have a higher goal difference than Spurs, says Cian. How much for Kane again, says Liam? Well, you know what? I wouldn't go for Harry Kane, but I do sort of have a bit of a sympathy for him in this sort of thing. I mean, how much is it about Kane in a scenario like this? If anything, it probably makes him even more determined to leave. What are we thinking anyway? Should we do a bit of a poll? I'm going to do a poll here. Start a poll. Fine. How many will Newcastle get? We go what, 5? No, we'll go more than that. There you go. Get your votes in. I think they'll get 8. I'm going to go 8. I've changed my mind from 2. Yes, it's over. Spurs Masterclass, says Son. Thank you very much, pal. And is the emergency alarm alert going off today to warn people Tottenham are playing, says Hayden. Well, everyone, you know what, I must admit, I had to remind myself this game was going on today. I mean, I'd forgotten, and I think a lot of people had forgotten that this game was actually going on, and what a game it's been. The way Newcastle players are running to take corners still would scare me if I was a Spurs fan, says Nick. That's what I mean. Spurs won't slow down. Newcastle won't slow down. And when you're 5-0 down, the mentality is gone. You know the game's gone, and there's an hour to go. Spurs are in a very difficult position here. It's not like they've got 10 minutes to go. They've got an hour. So everything Conte said was facts. After the sack, you would have thought there would be a bounce, and there has been no bounce, so they only just need to go, says Nathan. Yeah, exactly. Football, eh? I'm just sat there looking at the scoreline, probably like you. I mean, I don't think we've had a goal for 10 minutes. Let's get the stats carousel going. It slowed down a bit, yeah, I was just thinking that, but what a start. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. Don't forget that our stats carousel is updating as it stands. So you can see down the bottom, West Ham are winning at the moment. That's why they're so high. They've got the points on the board as they're 2-0 up against Bournemouth as it stands. Both those teams looking like they're getting away from that relegation battle. But our stats carousel is sponsored by OneFootball. So, oh dear. It doesn't matter because they provide us with the stats, OneFootball. So links in the chat. You can download it for free on Apple and Android. You can see the stats there actually for the teams, but if you go onto OneFootball, they individualise it as well. So if you want a bit of a laugh, you can look at the Spurs team and have a look at how many tackles they've made and how many passes they've made. You can also look at the Newcastle players because they've probably got a 100% shot success rate at the moment. So check it out. Get all your latest breaking and football news on the OneFootball app. Shout out to them. You can scan it through the QR code as well. Secondly to that, we are only 40 subscribers away from 942,000. So thanks everyone who's tuning in. Get involved with That's Football. You're all very welcome on here. Doesn't matter who you support. We're only 40 subscribers away from 942,000. So please click that button in the bottom right hand corner and subscribe. We've seen a substitution for Spurs. That's the only action they've done, really. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Never fail to be surprised by this league. Mark, why did you ban me on the United stand? Just because, in my opinion, I think Butland has better distribution and commands. Mojo, I'm not talking. You're a troll. What next for Tottenham, Mark, says Jared. I mean, I'll answer the question, Mojo. You're talking out your arse. Like, Butland is the reserve goalkeeper at Crystal Palace. You might not like David De Gea, but that level of conversation doesn't even deserve a conversation. It's just stupid. It's like saying that bloody Marcus Albrighton is better than Mo Salah. It's just not true. There's not even a debate to be had. It's just not true. Raven, welcome to the members club. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, slow down a little bit here. What's going on? Mojo's lost his mojo, says Berth. Gets injured a lot, doesn't he, Bruno Guimaraes? United score prediction. Brighton's going to be tough, says Jamie. Mate, I've been looking forward to this game since the draw. I mean, you're probably like me watching. I've got a massive amount of respect for Brighton. I think they've been robbed this season by the Premier League's refereeing. I think it's a disgrace, really. Thank you. But they're such a good team, and you know they're going to play in a certain way. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I've just got a funny feeling that they'll dominate possession, but we'll be more clinical. That's my thought process. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Londoners are bottling it this week, says Russ. G-Max says, Mark values anyone's opinion so long as it's the same as his. Well, that's simply just not true, is it, mate? Otherwise, we wouldn't have so many people watching. It's simply not true. But there are some opinions that you don't value because they're thick. You know, people who like the One Show. And people who think that Butland's better than De Gea. You've got to call out stupidity. You can do that in this snowflake society. You can call out stupidity. I've said some stupid things, you know. I said that Van Dijk would be the Dutch Chris Smalling, which actually is not actually. That's sort of come back better than it was. I said when Liverpool bought Van Dijk, I said they've spent £75 million on the Dutch Chris Smalling. But actually, when you look at it, Chris Smalling's actually very good. He's certainly better than Van Dijk this year. Smalling, you know, Chris Smalling at Roma have done really, really well. Spurs seem to have got their act together at 5-0. Give them a bit of credit. Ajax 2.0 says, behave yourself, Mark. Van Dijk is better than Smalling. Well, mate, you probably don't watch Roma much, do you? Like he's a kingpin of the Mourinho defence, and they're in the top four in Serie A. Well, I think they are. Juventus might have knocked them out now. Into the semi-finals. I'd put good money on Roma winning that Europa League. Now we're out, and Arsenal have to go to St James's Park. Good luck, says David. Yeah, well, Arsenal have got to play Brighton as well. It's not easy, bruv. It ain't easy. Just gonna have a quick look at Serie A actually, whilst Newcastle decide not to score goals. Roma. Are they playing today? I don't think Roma have got a game this weekend. Oh yeah, they're playing Atalanta tonight. And they're currently fourth. Why did Juventus get their points back? They took them off them and then they gave them back. I missed that. Next season, Spurs should sign Lafont. We need a goalkeeper, says Vala. You do. You haven't got one today. Oh, it's under appeal. It's under appeal, so they've got the points back. I think Leeds are doomed, Mark, says Lord. I think the relegation battle is very interesting. That's not the relegation battle. That's the Conference League battle, isn't it? Liverpool are in there at the moment. No one wants 7th place. Hi, Mark. Do you know who General... No, I don't, Samuel, so I'm not going to say that. Welcome to the Members Club, Sean. Thank you very much. Here's Trippier. He's going to go wide. Nice ball. Probably overhit it a little bit. And that's a corner. Murphy's on a hat-trick. There's a difference between having a valid opinion and just making something random up that's nonsense because you're bored at home and want to be edgy, says Nick P. There you go. Good play by Gameres. Went for the cross. They need another one before half-time. We need to keep this momentum going up here. Definitely need another one before half-time. Newcastle need to keep the tempo up. You could just go... Isaac's on a hat-trick as well. You're absolutely correct, Jordan. Which is probably not surprising, but I think Murphy on a hat-trick is quite more surprising. Space says, is that score real? Yep, I've not manipulated it. It is 5-0, and we've still got 7 minutes to go to half-time. I wonder if Tim Sherwood's face will be annoying and miserable at half-time after this, says Sean. Good one. Is he on at half? Is he the pundit on Sky? That's a foul right on the edge. Oh, he should have scored. Got to give the free kick. He didn't give the free kick because he played the advantage ref. Probably not a bad bit of refereeing, actually. Because the chance is actually better than what the free kick would have been. Is Europe a pipe dream for Villa, or can they do it, says Biblical? I think Villa could have got top. I think Villa could have got Europe, but it's difficult, really. It's difficult now. What do you think to the potential point deduction for Burnley, says Harry? I think it's a bit unfair, really. Can you imagine? I think it's a bit unfair on Burnley because it's the end of the season, isn't it? And he's rotated his team a bit, so it's that competitive element. But I think that's only the same as, I've seen it in the past where you're in a title race and your title rival plays a team that's, on the beach. Effort levels drop. Brian says, can you imagine if Newcastle have a good transfer summer? We need the Glazers out and Qatar in. I'll tell you this story about Newcastle because I've been saying it for ages. As soon as they get in the Champions League spots, they'll never leave. Same thing happened with Man City. I don't think Man City haven't... correct me if I'm wrong. So, how many times did City miss out on Champions League football from the first time they qualified for it? I don't know that they did. Newcastle will never leave. And neither will Man City. So 2 spots are nailed down as soon as Newcastle get the Champions League. It's crazy how 2 teams in the semi-finals of the Champions League aren't even in the top 4 of the Italian league. It would be extremely funny if one of the Milan teams actually ended up winning it, said City all the way. Afternoon, Mark. Are you feeling confident for later, says Warrior? I'm not, which I think is what's making it more exciting. I think sometimes... if you're a Man City fan yesterday, you're going to win that semi-final. I think the worst cup final I ever watched United play was when we beat Millwall, because you just know you're going to win. And it sort of takes... The best games you win are the hard games. Like, Bayern Munich will never be topped because we basically lost the game, but they were a really good side. It matters more when you beat teams that are decent. So I think if we can win today, the glory of winning will feel a lot more than what Man City did beating Sheffield United. But of course, the bigger the challenge, the more likelihood that you can lose. And, Brighton are a good side. Do you think Daniel Levy's an issue, Mark? Yes. Even if Daniel Levy is the best owner in the world for Spurs, he's still the problem. I've said this so many times. It's the same problem we've got at Man United. Those types of owners don't work anymore. Oh, we've got a really good business model. Beyonce's playing a tour in April. Well, that's not how it works. Oh, just wide. It could have been 6 from Longstaff. It's a corner. You know, ultimately, Spurs need what Man United need, what Liverpool need, what Arsenal need. Aston Villa could get Europa League football, says Sam. It's very competitive for Europa League football now. You've got Brighton, Liverpool, Villa, Spurs. Where did Eddie Howe come in your manager of the league poll yesterday, says David. Do we need to rethink if he bags the team third place with similar squad to first year? I think Eddie Howe was in the final 8, Chris. Does anyone in the chat remember? Arteta won it yesterday. We had 8 managers and we did like quarter-final, semi-final. I know De Zerbi knocked Pep out. Eddie Howe got knocked out by Emery. So I think people might look at that again. 3-0 to West Ham. It's a funny old game, isn't it? You'd think Bournemouth would be better than that. But especially when West Ham played on Thursday. But yeah, look, Spurs, whether you like Daniel Levy or not, if Spurs want to be successful, you've got to have that wealth now. Football's changing. Whether you like it or not, football is changing. Man United fans are going through this very process at the moment. A lot of United fans are not comfortable with Qatari ownership. You know, a lot of ex-players, if you look at their history, are not comfortable with it. But they're going to be comfortable with it because they know they've got to get on board with it. And actually, it might be beneficial for them to get on board with it. I think you're going to see a few people getting involved with the Qatari bid afterwards who probably quite rightly should be called hypocrites. But ultimately, are you a hypocrite? Because it's just the way football's going. Like, Spurs have got a stadium. You give Spurs what Man City have got ownership-wise, they'd start challenging for titles. You've got to have that ownership model. You can't run your club on go-karts and NFL football and Beyonce. You've got to run it on the pitch. And to do that, you've got to have the money. "5-0 here. Declan Rice scored for them. Well, let's just have a look at the poll. 14% of you think it will be 6-0. 30% of you think it will be 7-0. 25% of you think it'll be 8-0, and 32% of you think it'll be 9 or more. Yeah, well, they're going to have to score 4 in the second half, Newcastle. To be fair, Spurs have stabilised a little bit here, but it couldn't get much worse than 5-0 down after what, 20 minutes? They're in the box. Oh, that's going to get cleared. Only 2 minutes added on here, and Spurs have got a bit of a break. Kulusevski wants a free kick. Referee says, get up. Get up. Is the Premier League goal record downloading? Well, what a way. I've got to say, big up to Newcastle, because I've got to do Man United Brighton after this, and certainly when you're streaming for that long, you do want to be entertained, and you know, it's certainly been entertaining. Any news on the Martial injury? Says Neil. I think he's involved. Do you think Isaac was a better signing than Nunez? Says Dejan. Mark, ring up O'Hara, check to see if he's all right. Says Tumbleweed. To be fair, Jamie O'Hara deserves it for the crap that was discussed on that show last night with him and Gabby Agbonlahor. Absolute torrent of... It was like diarrhea. It was terrible, some of the opinions. Here we go. Murphy's got it. Just need to slip him in. And he does. Gomes. Ooh, you know, he could have took a tumble there. Options are queuing up here. Terrible shot. That should be half time. Spurs are losing because of the rain, says Ronan. Hi Mark, hope your day is going great. I played the game, says Cameron. Thank you very much. Do I think Isaac was a better signing than Nunez? Yes. But it's all about context. I don't think Darwin Nunez is a bad player. I think too many people talk about Darwin Nunez like he's a flop. His return for a first season's been quite good. Always said about Darwin Nunez that I think he left a year too early, but he had to because so many people wanted to buy him. I think Darwin Nunez will get better and better, and I don't think it's helped by how poor Liverpool's defence and midfield is. But Isaac's gone into a team that is settled. Like, he's gone into a team that has a good defence, has a good midfield, and gives him opportunities. The interesting thing is with Isaac, and if someone in the chat could let me know how many goals he's scored, if you look at Isaac, in fact, I can probably do this for you. Isaac didn't score many goals when he was at Sociedad. He got 33 goals in 105 games, which is sort of 1 every 3. Not even that. For Sweden, he's got 9 in 39, so it's 1 in 4. At Newcastle, I think he's around 1 in 2. I think it's slightly better than 1 in 2. So I think it's been a fantastic signing for Newcastle because Isaac's been a player that's been mentioned around Liverpool and Man United and Arsenal for a few years. But but one of the feedback points was he's not very prolific. He's prolific at Newcastle. So he's gone into a team that affords him chances to finish. Whereas, maybe at Sociedad he didn't have that. I really want Willock to get a header, says Jude. And Man United are going to lose to Brighton in the league and to Aston Villa and to West Ham and Liverpool. Okay. And we'll take their place, says Muzza. Mate, if you're a Liverpool fan, the only thing you're going to have over Man United is your 7-0. Print your T-shirts, drink your tea, out your 7-0 cup, because that's your trophy. Just hope Spurs get one back so Pope doesn't get a clean sheet, says Poison Dwarf. FPL kicking in. Are you ready for the alarm, Mark? I'm intrigued to see it. I just need to make sure I've got my noise on, because it is on. It's going to be interesting. 3 o'clock. We're only 10 subscribers away from 942,000, by the way. So please do subscribe. Get involved with That's Football. We've got daily content for you anyway. But, of course, Wednesday night, we're doing that watch-along. Manchester City against Arsenal. It's the title decider. They've got to win. Arsenal have to win that game. What went on Friday night? North London clubs struggling. That's what's happening. Isaac's getting a goal every 1.5 games, says Kurt. So yeah, he's been a very, very good signing. You can't argue with that. But I do think Nunez will come good. Let's just have a look. One thing I'm really disappointed with myself that I didn't actually focus in on there. Of course, it's 5-0 at half time, but let's just have a quick look at the stats because I think Newcastle have been incredibly efficient. They've had 6 shots on target and scored 5. Yes, they've had 60% possession. They've had 14 shots to Spurs 4. 6 shots on target, but 5 goals. So ridiculous efficiency or ridiculous goalkeeping. I do think you've got to look at Hugo Lloris and say, I've said it for a long time. I'm not saying I'm the oracle when it comes to good opinions. Far from it. But you do remember your hot takes, and I've been saying it for a long time. I never, ever, ever put Lloris in the in the debate for best goalkeeper in the league. I never have. He should be saving a few of those, Harry. I don't rate Lloris. I really don't. I don't think he's very good. And every time I watch him, and I don't watch every Spurs game, he's always got a mistake in him. He always seems to make mistakes. So look, I'm not a big fan of Lloris. I think Spurs desperately need a new goalkeeper. Breaking news coming out that Anthony Martial has been passed fit and starts for Manchester United this afternoon. Dalot is at left back, which is great news for Manchester United if you're interested in that. I'm sure everybody's interested in that game. You don't need to be a United fan or a Brighton fan. I just think it's an absolutely huge game. And yeah, brilliant to see. Luke Shaw's starting, yeah. What do you think of all the hate that Jan Sommer is getting? I think he was amazing against Man City. He doesn't deserve that much hate, says Matthew. I like Sommer. I think I would have took him at United. I think he would have been a good sort of battler for De Gea. Barrett says, just got in after taking the kids out and switched the match. 5-0 first stop. That's football. What the hell is that? I really don't want Kane. Thank you very much, Barrett. Welcome to the Members Club, Ang. And look, I think in relation to Harry Kane, I'd defend him a little bit on this because he's not in goal. He's not doing the defending. But I just worry about mentality. Manchester United and Arsenal fans can probably relate to this as well, and maybe Liverpool fans this season and Chelsea fans. Mentality is such a big thing in the modern game, and you know, we saw it with United against Sevilla. The mentality is shit in that team. The only way you're going to change that is by bringing in players with stronger mentalities, so that eventually you get the balance right. Harry Kane's mentality as an elite footballer, is it undoubtable or is it in question? All his career, whether it's England or Spurs, he's seen a lot of this. Is he to blame for it? I don't think so. Is he used? Is it just part of who he is now? You know, he's experienced a lot of this. I don't know whether that's the right player to bring in. Watch along for the Conference League final. Mark, I would rather paint my nails, and I've never done that. There's a difference. I think actually I did paint my nails once. I think I went to a Halloween party and painted them black. Dracula. But actually I quite enjoyed that. So I would rather paint my nails. There's a difference. I've done that one from Nick P as well. Thank you very much for the super chats. Harry Kane is traumatised, says Chris. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I suppose, look, post-traumatic stress disorder is a very serious condition. But in a footballing sense, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's Harry Kane's fault. But do you not think after a decade of playing for England and Spurs, he might be suffering with being used to these sort of results, which therefore will impact his mentality? I don't think you can play for a club like this for 10 years and not become impacted by it. But you can't blame Kane for this. I just think, but I would consider that. Any United lineup news? Yes, Rashford starts, Martial starts, Luke Shaw starts at centre back, and Dalot plays at left back. So, yeah, that's how it's looking for Manchester United. Rest in peace, Tottenham, says Risky. If Kane had been playing for City the past 5 years, he would have had a lot of trophies. It's not mentality, it's garbage he plays with, says I'm all in. Well, yeah, you can look at it like that. But if I played for City up front for the last 5 years, I'd have a lot of trophies as well. City's a bit different. We're talking about Manchester United. At Manchester United, when the going gets tough, some of our players down tools. That's what we're talking about. Harry Kane goes to Man City. I think you'd be absolutely right. But we're not Man City. So does Harry Kane have the mentality for the battle at Man United over the next 3 years while we're trying to become Man City? That's what we're talking about. So actually, Kendrew says, have you got a favourite tea, Mark? Not really. I think that's just Tesco. I'm not massively into tea. I'll have one. Curtis, thank you very much for joining the Members Club. Luke, if he the media loving if we buy Harry Kane will be hard to listen to. I mean, God, imagine it'll be every bloody question in the press conference, and it'll be he should be captain of the club as well. Joe says this weekend fixtures might break the Premier League record for more goals in a match day. Well, it will struggle because there's a few games not being played because of the FA Cup semi-final, so I wouldn't have thought it would break the record, but if it did, 2 games lighter, that would be quite good. Has Kane got the Stockholm Syndrome, says D. Thank you very much. Emergency thing is going to happen in 5 minutes if you're interested in that. Oh, I've just got to stretch this out here. Oh, my back. I had a bad night's sleep last night. My back really is stiff. Absolutely stiff. You might hear a funny noise at 3 o'clock. I don't know what this is all about. This is something we don't normally get on football watch-alongs. But 3 p.m. alarm UK is going to happen. And basically what's going to happen is at 3 p.m. today, every mobile phone in the UK will ping with a warning as part of a test of a new public alert system by the government. And it mirrors existing schemes that have apparently happened in the US and Japan about life-threatening situations. I mean, I'm a bit worried that we're having this because I've never had this before in my life. So is this a warning that something's actually going to happen? If there's a life-threatening emergency nearby, what do you do? Oh, follow the instructions. Apparently, Spurs got this about 20 minutes into the first half, so maybe they could advise us what this emergency situation is all about. I don't think you have Kane's goal ratio over his career if you don't have a certain mentality, says Matt. And it's a test if World War III ever breaks out, says Daniel Lee. There you go. I think if World War III breaks out, we don't need a bloody phone to tell us what's about to happen, do we? Really? I'd rather not know. I'd rather just be asleep or playing FIFA or something. David thinks top four is done with. It's going to be Man United and Newcastle. Well, I don't know. I think Man United, you always have a little bit of worry about your own team. We've got to play Villa. We've got to play Chelsea. We've got to play Brighton. We've got to play Spurs away. They might react on Thursday. Hopefully not. So there are games that Man United could drop points in, but we've got a good gap ahead of us. Newcastle's running. I mean, I don't see Newcastle slipping up now, but they've got Everton away on Thursday. Then they've got Southampton at home. So you'd expect them to win those two. Arsenal at home, I can't see them losing at home at the moment. Here we go. This is a test of emergency alerts. A new UK government service that will warn if there's a life-threatening emergency. Follow the instructions if real. This is a test. You do not need to take any action. There you go. It was a bit of a anticlimax, really, wasn't it? There we go. So United team is De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof. I didn't get that from the emergency alert, by the way. I got that because I had the message on my phone, which I hadn't seen. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Shaw, Dalot, Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno, Anthony, Martial, and Rashford. Strong side. Strong side, that. Very pleased with that. About as strong as it can get, and you need it against Brighton. Love that. Love that. I forget. I'm sure. So Newcastle's running. So it's all going off. Everton and Southampton are their next two games. Then they've got Arsenal, but it's at St James's Park. Then they've got Leeds, who are terrible. Then they've got Brighton, but it's at St James's Park. Then they've got Leicester, and then they've got Chelsea. I can't see Newcastle not getting top four now. I think it's looking very, very good for them, if you know. Have JT in Sweden, bunkers in every city, have one under our apartment, also alarms in the city, tests every month. Be worried if you don't have them, says Richard. There you go. What does Gary Neville have against you, bro, says Cag. I don't know. And look, I want to stop talking about it because obviously when he said no, Mark Goldbridge will never go on the overlap. I think that's really horrible, of course, especially when he's never met me and he's just going off what people have said who don't like me anyway because they're liars. But can people just... the one thing I just want to say is that people go, Goldbridge is in a right mood because he can't go on the overlap. And he's a right beg. Can we just put one thing right? I didn't ask to go on there. I said it would be good content, but I don't think he'll do it. The reason this all started is because the overlap did a community post saying, who shall we get on next? And it was 99% rammed with Mark Goldbridge. So they put a post out saying, because they're about the fans, who should we get on next? The fans tell them, and then they say no. What sort of nonsense is that? So I'm not begging. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's don't ask if the offer's, it's just silly. It's silly, really. So, yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore because people think that I was begging to go on. I wasn't. They asked for the public to ask who they wanted to go on, and everybody said me. Then I got made aware of it, and I was like, well, yeah, I would do it. And then it's like, no. So it's silly. But I'm not going to talk about it anymore because it's ridiculous. But Lloris has been subbed, apparently. Well, 100% the right thing to do. I don't think anybody can argue with that. I would really, I mean, I would have saved. I would have saved. Certainly the Isaac one. I would have saved that one. I think you would have saved it. I think McGran would have saved it. Rest in peace. Just the bump in the earth would have saved it. That sounds horrible, but she has been dead a few years. And I still think she's a better goalkeeper than Lloris. Rest in peace. Right, let's get ready for the second half to start here. Romero just doesn't look interested. Look at his face. Miserable. Don't be doing that, Romero. Tim Sherwood will be saying get out of his club. Yeah, Forster's in goal. He's a big unit, Forster, isn't he? Look at the size of those shoulders. Harry Kane's not been subbed. And here he comes, Forster. He looks like he'd be a good boxer, Forster, doesn't he? Lots of upper body strength. 6'7" as well, apparently. Second half's about to kick off here. And we're off. There we go. I'm loving this Premier League season. You just never know what you're going to get. It's like... there's not many games that you can go, I'm not going to watch that. Because the league will just surprise you. Even like Bournemouth, West Ham. I'd have had that on the background. Emergency alert, Maguire is in the starting 11, says Nitro. Well, that can't happen because he's suspended. Any early team news, Mark? I've already given the team out for Man United. It's De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof and Shaw, Dalot at left back, Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno, and then Rashford, Martial and Anthony. Strong team. So Lloris has been subbed off at half time here. I think it's the right thing to do. I do. It's mad, isn't it? Because when Lloris got injured, Spurs were looking at getting Ben Foster in, and I bet he's bloody glad they didn't. Wrexham's a much better job for your GoPro. You wouldn't be able to put your GoPro in the guard. You wouldn't be able to put your GoPro. You can't put your GoPro in the back of the goals in the Premier League, but you can in the National League. Trust me, he's raking it in now with all those views. Much better story as well. Than he'd have been sat on the bench at Spurs. Harry, can we do a bit of GoPro in training? No, I'm not doing it. I've got to go home and do the ironing. That alarm lasted longer than my you-know-what, says Mike. Okay. And Rowan, thank you very much for your super chat. What do you think about Wrexham, Mark? I don't think Wrexham getting promoted from the National League with all that money is really a fairy tale. I think this is what it will get interesting from next season. I'll take more notice if they're going to do the Disney series. I'd take more notice of the Wrexham story when they're in League 2, because I know how competitive League 2 is. I mean, you look at Salford. How many years ago? I loved that TV series that they did for Salford, the Class of '92, and then they took it off. It was on BBC, wasn't it? And then they put it on Sky, and I never knew. I don't even know. Do they still do it, or have they stopped doing it? I don't know. But they're still in League 2, so. I think now Wrexham are in the Football League. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Is Lloris injured? Says Beethoven. Well, I'd hope he's not injured. How is Martial starting? He limped off on Thursday, says Tom. Oh, now we're criticising him for start. I tell you what, I will bloody love it if Martial scores today. I'm absolutely ready to go in on all those prats. I'll love it. I'll bloody love it. What do you think of hashtag? Well, I think they're great people who run it. I love the people who run what they're doing there, and it's a great story. We need some more goals here. We haven't had a goal in about half an hour. There's Harry Kane. No, we don't want a Spurs goal. Other end. Kane's done well. Goal. What a goal. Well, what great goal by Harry Kane. Individual. Absolutely great goal by Kane. Individualistic. I mean, you'll be embarrassed by this if you're a defender. Shaw gets skinned, and then he finished it really well with his. I mean, that's a great goal by Kane. You can't argue with it. It's a good goal. Barry says, how many points do you think United and Newcastle need to secure top 4? 70. 70 points will do it. Whoever gets 70 points gets top 4 this year. We're so scared hearing the alarm. Hopefully we never need it unless it's for floods, says Sensei. And sorry, forgot to put a message. Was just going to ask if Lindelof and Shaw play well, will he stick with them or bring back Maguire, says Rowan. Well, hopefully he'll stick with them. I think it's a big opportunity. Tim Sherwood's Martial comments were very offensive, says ums. Some people's phones didn't go off with the emergency alert. That means you're not important, basically. It's only important people that get it. So I'd be very worried. It means you're not on the list. It means you're not going to... So I'm on the list, you see. So what it basically said on my message is, follow the directions to a safe place. So I'm going to get directions to a safe place. If you didn't get the message, I'm not bothered about you. You're just going to be carrying on as normal. And people, if you're at work, you'll see people get up and go, and you'll be left. It's not looking good, bruv. It's survival of the fittest. That's what it is. I'm joking. That's not what happens at all. I don't know why you didn't get it, but in a way, I'd rather not get it. No room in the bunker, said someone in the chat. I don't know why you wouldn't get it. I'm sure. You know what? Knowing the way the world works, this will be trending on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere will be saying, I didn't get it. Why didn't I get it? Why didn't I get it? What happens to me if I didn't get it? I want to complain. You know, I wouldn't be bothered if you didn't get it. You can turn it off in your settings, says Dob. There you go. Big up yourself. I'd be happy if we got Kane next season, would you? Says Man United. I think we will get Kane in the summer. Anthony Martial, 13-2 to score, says Warrior. Could be... Oh, he should have... Longstaff shooting shit. He should have scored there. Yeah, this is becoming more of a respectable scoreline for Spurs now. Since they brought Davinson Sanchez on, they haven't conceded. Isaac should have scored though. That was right on his head. Hi Mark, would you take Grealish for Man United, says Dick? I always wanted Grealish to come to Man United, and I know he's having a good season at Man City now, but I'd have liked Grealish at Man United. You know, the thing about Grealish though is, I don't know at Man United whether he would have suited us. Oh, another one. Another clearance. Another clearance by Spurs. Offside. I wouldn't take him now. He's been at Man City, but I would have took him when he was at Villa. If you got 3G, you didn't get it. That elite mentality to score at 5-0 down, says Robert. Yeah, it was a good goal by Harry Kane. I think Man United will buy Harry Kane. My back's killing me. My back's killing me. Ronnie Pickering. Oh, I tell you what, my back's been killing me for days. I was stuck. At the end of the day, I just walked away. I was stuck behind a right Wout Weghorst on Friday. I don't know whether you've ever had this, but I went to get my haircut and I parked the car in the car park, and I'd had my ticket, put it in my pocket, and had my haircut, and I went down through John Lewis and just had a quick look at the clothes, walked out the back because I know there's a ticket machine into the car park. As soon as I walked out, I thought this ain't going to go well. There's an old fella on his hands and knees staring at the ticket machine, right? And it just happens all the time. And then he starts looking at me with like rabbit eyes, like rabbit in the headlights, deer in the headlights, going, "Oh, it swallowed my card. It swallowed my card." And I was like, "Oh, Woutweghorst, here we go, slowing it down. You know, just get your ticket and go." He hadn't swallowed his card at all. He hadn't even put his card in. 5 minutes later, big queue, we established that his card was in his bloody pocket. Oh, I tell you, I just had to walk away and find another machine. I was like, I'm not waiting anymore. He was like, "Well, I found my card now. I'll only be a minute. I'm sod it. I need to escape. I've spent 5 minutes with you trying to figure something out, and your bloody card's in your pocket." And I say old fella, he's only about 52. Not, you know, people are going to think sympathy now about some bloke in his 90s who fought in the war. He was about 52, and trust me, he had cash. I saw his car keys. He had a bloody Maserati. So in Maserati, I can't believe it. I walked out. There's no queue. He's there on his hands and knees, looking at it. Woutweghorst slowing everybody down. "Oh, it swallowed my card. It swallowed my card." 5 minutes. We were like hitting this button for help. I said, "Have you got another card?" He went, "Oh, I don't know." And then he went in. "Oh, I have." Pulled it out. "Oh, no, that is the card." Oh, Jesus. Jay, thank you very much for your super chat. "Hi, Mark. Who do you think will buy Maguire this summer?" says Mario. "I don't think he's going anywhere. Don't think he's going anywhere." Jam or custard donuts or another donut? Well, if we're talking donuts, if we're going to get serious about donuts, Zero, I mean, look, I can answer you jam or custard in your donut. I can answer that. But if we're going to get serious about donuts, let's get serious about donuts, because I'm going to Krispy Kreme. And that's jam and custard, just get out. You know, if we're going down Tesco and we're just getting 4 for £1, get me a custard one. But if we're going proper, we're going Krispy Kreme. And my favourite, I mean, I've got quite a few at Krispy Kreme. Look, if Krispy Kreme ever want to sponsor a watch-along and send us one of those big boxes, I'll eat them all. You know, I'll burn the calories off over the week, but I'm more than happy to do a Krispy Kreme promotion on here. My favourite Krispy Kreme one is the one with the chocolate on the top and peanut butter and chocolate inside. Absolutely brilliant. I just love Krispy Kreme. They're fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. They do a nice strawberry one as well. But oh yeah, they're great. You know. I remember like whenever anybody used to leave work, like not at the end of the day. You know, like someone was leaving for better things or health issues. I don't know why I'm laughing about that. It's horrible. They'd bring Krispy Kremes in, like about 2 boxes of about 20, and it'd be great because you'd be like, "Oh, I'll get at least 3," because you know, even if you've got 40 people in the office and there's 40 donuts, you know there's going to be people in there going, "Oh, I'd love to, but I can't. I'm on a diet." Well, what are you looking for then? Don't breathe on them. Piss off, because I'll be having one and I'll be having 2. But it was always good fun when it was people you didn't get on with, because you'd have to sort of. I was quite intelligent. The week before they left, I'd start being nice because I knew they were going to get Krispy Kremes, and I didn't want to miss out, and I didn't want to be fake about it. So I'd start being fake a week before. But yeah, I used to love those days in the office. "Oh, such and such is leaving. Great, Krispy Kremes." It was even better. Some people would go to the local Indian takeaway and bring in a load of samosas and the red sauce and get Krispy Kremes. Oh yeah, I used to love that. Be even better if they brought some, Tiger beer in as well. I'm glad that Martial is starting, but we need to get rid of poor mentality and injury-prone players and start building up depth for the next year, says Brian. Well, we can't do that now, today, mate. That's what I mean. I was saying this on Twitter earlier. It's almost like people want De Gea to keep making mistakes. I'm like, no. I don't want anyone to make mistakes. Don't want Maguire to make mistakes. Don't want anyone to make mistakes, because I just want to get top 4 and stop Man City winning the treble. And then we can buy who we bloody well like in the summer. I don't care if we replace De Gea. For me, he's a legend. I don't want him to go. But I just want us to perform. Get over the line. I have been to Hooters, Kareem. The food's fantastic. The chicken, boneless chicken, but it's the only thing that's... anyway, Company or Toto, thank you very much for the super chat. I think Spurs should be trying to get Nagelsmann now. Manchester, Mark, does this result lock up top 4 for United, says Oz? No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. There's still a long way to go. But it's looking good. It is looking good. Oh, I've had another message here. Could be team news. No, we've already got the team news. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof and Shaw, Dalot, Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno, Rashford, Martial and Anthony. I think to get top 4 you need 70 points, and Man United and Newcastle have got 59 with 7 or 8 games to go. So it's looking good. Please click that subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner. I need to change that to 942. We're on that road to 1 million. Get involved with the channel. It's a massive week coming up. We've got Man City against Arsenal on Wednesday night. Title decider. Hooters is lovely, Mark, especially Manchester, says Ums. I mean, the only one I know of is in Nottingham. Call me crazy, but I'm desperate for 3rd place. Also, what was the owner news you had the other day that you had to verify? Is it still relevant, says Treble Champ? Sort of spoke about it today. Top 5 Radiohead songs, says Martin. Top 5 is difficult. I like Let Down on OK Computer, which isn't even a single. Fantastic. Love the rhythm of that and the way it builds. Fake Plastic Trees is one of my favourites as well. Smells Like Teens. That's bloody Streets. What's that one? Is it Street Spirit or something like that? I like that one. The news about the ownership. Let me just go back to that. There'll be a big development on the sale this week. It will happen before the protest next Sunday. They can't not say anything and let that protest go ahead. They've got to try and spin some positivity. So there'll be a big release this week about a full sale. I guarantee it. Please do a watch along for Inter versus Milan in the Champions League. Well, I will. They're on different nights, so I will do, definitely. High and Dry is a good song, yeah. Smells Like Street Spirit is Nirvana, but there is one that's a little bit like that. It's got a guitar bit by Radiohead. Injured player here, Joel Linton. Street Spirit, that's it. Mark is a Cliff Richard fan. Hey, he's got some good songs, Cliff Richard. Can't think of any. Mistletoe and Wine. He loves Christmas, doesn't he? Who has more annoying fans, Arsenal or Liverpool, says Harry. I think every fan base has got annoying fans. I don't think it's exclusive. What was the greatest Champions League campaign ever, says Blaze. Manchester United, 1999. And Anthony says, I'm a bit nervous for today's game. Hopefully beat Brighton, but be a close game, 2-1 United. What do you think, says Anthony Wright. I've gone with 2-0 to United. My prediction is Brighton will give us a game possession-wise, but we'll be more clinical. Which is something traditionally that used to get said about Brighton anyway, and they're a lot better under De Zerbi. But Matoma against Wan-Bissaka is going to be a really interesting one. Think United can hijack Nkunku, Dale, from Chelsea? He's already signed, hasn't he, Funky? I thought Nkunku to Chelsea was done. I worked in an... Oh, here we go. Glenny Boy says, I worked in an office where this one girl would eat any cakes or biscuits bought in, then complained it was everyone else's fault she failed her diet. Yeah, I used to like those people who... they'd come back from their lunch break with their dinner, which would more often than not be a Big Mac meal, a packet of crisps and a couple of Krispy Kremes, but then they'd buy a Diet Coke. I just love that mentality. It's delusion, isn't it? Absolute delusion. And it wasn't because they liked the flavour of Diet Coke, by the way. I always used to ask. I do. I'm very good with a straight face. I'd go over to them and go, "Oh, that looks lovely. Why didn't you have full fat Coke?" I'm on a diet. And then I'd just look at the food and go, "Oh, all right, good luck." No, they weren't doing it because Diet Coke tastes better. Like, I'd always try and find that out. And they would do it because they were on a diet with their packet of crisps, Big Mac meal, and a couple of Krispy Kremes. How much do you pay for your haircut, says EJ? 20 quid? 25 quid? Mark, do you like the Smiths, Sebastian? Oh, they're all right. Did you like Girls Aloud? The Promise song, says Umzil. I wasn't really interested in the music. Most iconic goal in Manchester United history, says Assel. I think personally for me it would have to be the Solskjaer goal, because it just, I've never reacted to a goal in my life like that, and I don't think I ever will again. I mean, it was a culmination of everything. It was like the perfect goal. I don't think you can create a goal in stoppage time to win an iconic treble. Is just, in that circumstance. Look, Giggs against Arsenal was fantastic. It really was. And there has been some cracking goals, but I just don't think you can top the emotion of that. It was amazing. Brandon pays £20 for a hairdresser to come to my house. Yeah, but how much do you pay for the haircut? Callum Wilson's coming on. Almiron's coming on. I'm probably going to quit this in a minute because United team news will be out in 5 minutes, and this is not going to be the Premier League goal record, and I need to start, going over to United stand and start getting that ready. But it's a shame. I think Newcastle. Well, it's a great result for Newcastle, but they're not pushing on for this now. They've it's petered out a little bit, hasn't it? If we're being completely honest, but. Certainly an amazing first 20 minutes from them. There you go. You can see the changeover. Look at that. The way I've done that. Look at that. We're all ready to go. I wonder if we've got the team news on there yet. I don't think they have. Goldbridge with the graphics. No, they've not got it on yet. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing Manchester United against Brighton on the United stand, and I always go live an hour before the kickoff to talk about the team news and interact over there. So I am going to keep Spurs versus Newcastle on if you want to join me over there, but I'm just going to quickly pop for a quick toilet break, and then we'll be starting on there in a couple of minutes. So if you want to carry on... Oh, I tell you what, though. 6-1, Callum Wilson. Right, as I say that, Callum Wilson has made it 6-1 to Newcastle. We might still get that. 23 minutes to go. 3 goals more to equal the record, 4 to break it. I'll see you over on the United stand. It'll push you over there anyway into the live chat. I'll see you over there in a minute.